Soul's reaction, I mean, he must be the one who enforces the no smoking regulations in the Jedi courtyards, because the instant she turns into smoke, he's like, it's stabbing time. Welcome back to Nerd Legion, guys. We're punishing ourselves by finishing up with Season 1 of The Acolyte. Season 2, DoA, has not been greenlit yet, so we may not actually ever face that punishment again, despite this show ending on a cliffhanger, promising us some Yoda, which we'll get into. As you guys know, if you watched our Madam Web episode, we are transitioning this show into being a segment-based show. So while you're here, subscribe, like, leave a comment, tell us what you think about the segments. We're doing it again with a lot more segments this week, including, DoA, a live reaction. That's right, guys.
Right.
Yes?
Oh, I just said that's right.
Yeah, we're doing the live reaction. So the live reaction was DoA's great idea. So we actually saved the final episode, which literally was just released a few hours ago. And we recorded ourselves talking about the whole thing. We are going to put an MP3 of that below. So if you would like to download the audio, you can sync it with us at 1 minute and 30 seconds when we start it. We will do the countdown. So if you want more of the live reaction content, you can listen along while you watch this terrible episode of television. Hopefully have a few laughs. I think it was pretty funny. And we're going to start. We're going to start with our live reaction segment right now, so you can see some of the highlights of that for the next few minutes.
You're so hot to me right now.
That's my fetish.
Yeah, wear my mask.
The future is fixed. It's gonna be May.
I'm going where exactly?
It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May.
Don't use the Force.
See you now, Jedi.
What? Don't use the Force, Soul. Don't use the Force. Definitely don't use the Force here. He's also constipated. He hasn't pooed in days. He's been on this chase. It's tough. Bazil smells it, see? Jedi Padawan Napoleon Dynamite.
Idiot! He's so bad.
Oh, what? Who's that? Another puppet.
I love it when we introduce new characters in the last episode.
I wish I was back in Squid Game. I wish I was back in Squid Game.
You will be soon enough.
I know.
This is like a video game side quest. We must get the elevator operational before we can enter the dungeon.
Go find the 3 parts for the elevator. You want to be buddies. Do kind of a comedy team-up thing.
Destroy you if I must.
I will destroy you if I must. What the fuck kind of writing is that?
Make sure my costume shows off my ripped arms. You have my haircut now. No one noticed my singed ends when I cut off my longer hair. I don't know why.
Or my forehead tattoo.
Oh, because you didn't want.
Oh, hey. Oh no. Now
my eyes! now. Perfectly symmetrical violence never solved anything.
Whoa. What a cut.
Oh, wow. That actually was a pretty cool cut.
Yeah, I like it.
Strike them down.
Wait, did she break it?
And your journey will be complete.
No.
I feel like I've seen this before in Star Wars.
The virgins on this planet.
Virgins.
Oh, virgins. Yeah.
Virgins in the Force.
All the coven witches are virgins. I get it.
Oh no, please don't. I wanna hold you. Go to prom with me. Oh, nope. Wait, so is Vernestra gonna come in and save the day with her lightsaber whip, and that's supposed to be how this ends?
Her flaccid lightsaber.
And Bazil, you just be in the background, I guess.
Bazil, you're right.
Everybody loves Bazil. Napoleon Dynamite would hang out with Bazil. Nothing is possible without Bazil. Is he holding his breath? Oh, I wish his mask wasn't so loud when I breathe.
I hope Napoleon Dynamite dies.
I
also hope Bazil dies.
He stepped in the frame.
Fuck Bazil. I'm starting it now. Bazil's a little turd, man.
Hey, Napoleon, I can throw this lightsaber over those mountains.
And I won't stop you this time.
See, Osha, I want you to be evil. This is right for you.
I wish I cared about these characters.
Always
Don't say the rhyme. No. No!
Corners too.
With the power of many. That
It'd be really,
tree is
it would be
sacred
really
to the
weird to
Na'vi.
have your identical twin erased from your memory and then just wake up and be staring at yourself. It'd be very weird. Oh,
I don't remember.
now we've got into the amnesia arc of this series. Jesus Christ. Here come the men in black.
Fire.
Jedi literally. Sith are literally the men in black.
He was a kind, brilliant, compassionate man.
Except for the whole mother killing thing.
Does the name Osha mean anything?
It makes me think of safety.
A pupil of mine. Before he turned to evil.
I feel like I've heard that before in Star Wars. I can't remember. Oh, never mind. Hey, see my arms?
I'm working out.
You know, it's, now we're in sleeves. Hey, Darth Bortles found love. I'm so happy for him. So I like this game called Magic the Gathering. Which character is this that we recognize? Oh, hey.
Oh, come on, man. Oh, she's not evil.
Not included in this series, was I? I mean, she tells Yoda what's up, and he's just like, oh, idiots you are. Come to me sooner, you probably should have. Whole series avoided could have been.
All right, welcome back. And guys, I am proud to say we have a sponsor on our show for the first time. DoA Nerd Legion is
happened.
sponsored.
It finally happened.
It happened by Mando, guys. And Mando is men's deodorant and soap. I've been using it for the past few weeks. My wife really likes the smell. I got the Mount Fuji stick of deodorant. It is aluminum free, so it's deodorant. It's not an antiperspirant, which I prefer, and I know probably many of you prefer as well. And yeah, they've got a variety of very masculine scents, such as bourbon leather and clover woods, or even unscented if you prefer. So you can actually just get an unscented deodorant that will keep the bacteria that cause your odor down. But they also sell bars of soap. They sell body wash, and yeah. Have you enjoyed it, Noah?
I'm not a bar soap guy. So when they sent me a bar of soap, I was like, Mando, seriously? But then I tried it. I took it out of the wrapper. I got in the shower with it, and it was a great experience. It was the problem I have with most bar soaps, Monty. I don't know. We've never had this conversation before, but I feel like now is the time to tell you is that they leave me feeling like weird, like you feel kind of filmy with after you use a bar soap, you know? It's like your skin is too
I use
dry.
bar soap all the time.
your skin is too dry. You feel kind of like weird. Maybe it was the soap I was using, but no more. The Mando bar soap has left me feeling quite moisturized and quite soft and manlier than ever, right? And it reminds me of Star Wars every time I use it, you know?
That's right.
So it's so that's one of the side benefits too. I love it.
Yeah, that's right. This show is not about the Mandalorian or Mando, as some fans call it. It is, in fact, Mando the brand. So if you guys, that's right, you got the Mandalorian right there. If you guys would like to try this, they're offering some good stuff. Like I said, my wife really enjoys the way I smell after using it. You guys can try the Mando starter pack, which is perfect if you want to just have a sampling of their products. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, which they also have. Deodorant wipes are very useful if you're camping, for example. Would recommend.
I do that.
And free shipping. And we do have a discount code to help you get hooked on our favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get a $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 50% of your starter pack. So let's talk about this. You can go to use code NERD, just NERD, not Nerd Legion, at shopmando.com.
That's the best, most pure code I've ever heard, actually.
right.
Like a lot of things, a lot of codes out there are like, it'd be like XX nerd Sephiroth XX 420 1930, you know, 5 whatever, you know, it's like very long and very inconvenient to type in at the end. Nobody remembers that stuff. No one wants to write down a code to then have to remember to use it later. But our code is just nerd.
It's just
That's
nerd.
great. I didn't know that before right now. We have the best code of any like sponsorship in podcasts, I will say.
There you go.
Nothing is as simple as nerd.
That's right. Use code NERD at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. So thank you guys. Check it out if you're looking for some delightful scents for deodorants and soaps. All right, DoA, we're going to get into our next segment.
Oh, yes.
Where we say something nice. DoA, say something nice.
I'm good
about
at this one.
The Acolytes. What have you got to say that's nice this week?
I feel like it's too easy having me do it. This is the one that you would struggle with, but I'm good at saying nice
I can actually
things.
say a lot of nice things about this show. Shocking.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, I will start with the most obvious one. And this is the one that strikes me, and as I think it strikes everyone, is that the fight choreography and the fight scenes are just fantastic in this show. They really, really are. The choreography, it does everything a fight should do, where you have very creative use of power, very creative moves, a lot of interaction with the environment. The fights will move from place to place usually throughout the fight. So they really nailed it with that. It's kind of shocking like how good the fights are in this series compared to basically everything else. But if there's one thing that I can absolutely say that is nice about The Acolyte is that I really, really love the fight choreography. And I could watch, whoever did that, I could watch a lot of theirs all day. I should look up who did that.
We actually talked a lot about in Ahsoka too, the fight choreography and the different styles, and that was really clear here as well. I think the whole aesthetic of the stranger, you know, the mysterious Sith that's in this film, in this series, is also really good. Like his helmet is super cool. The fact that they introduced the Cortosis for his like gauntlet and helmet so he can turn off the lightsabers in the fight is really cool. The way he fights and the way he turns off his own lightsaber to surprise people is also very, very neat. So I agree. I mean, they started very powerfully. We did the first 3 episodes on our first episode of The Acolyte, and we talked about Carrie-Anne Moss and the fight sequence that she had with May in the very start of the show was really good. And that really continues. I mean, when they're actually all together and they're fighting. Okay, I do have some issues with the stranger being able to fight like 7 Jedi at the same time and win, but also then he can't fight one Padawan and then sort of loses to the Padawan.
Yeah.
But then doesn't.
He's good when it's convenient for the plot for him to be good, and then he's bad when it's best for the plot for him to be bad.
Exactly.
Which, that is one of the many issues. But we're saying nice things here. We're saying nice things.
Right. But yes, I think overall the visuals of this, and it does, I will say, I think this series got better because the later we got in the episodes, the more focus was on the action sequences, and that made it much more enjoyable to watch, frankly.
Yeah. One last thing is that, like, he can fight 7 Jedi, but then he gets carried away by some bugs. It's like,
the light on my back.
His powers will short out sometimes, much like, or his fighting ability will short out sometimes, much like the lightsabers when they come in contact with Cortosis. It'll come back soon, but just for like, a couple minutes. It's like, all right, I must go. My bug people need me.
All right, so we said something nice, and now we're going to go on to our next segment, which, as you know, have been watching this show, is fake drama. Fake drama, guys, is when, as we said in the first episode of The Acolyte, is when they create tension for literally no reason, when this could have just been alleviated almost instantly by a character doing something logical or by the writing just being tighter and better. And unfortunately, there are many instances of fake drama in this series, but also the entire series itself and the way the story is told, DoA, is just fake drama. Because we've discussed this. If you watched our Ninja Kamui episode, we don't have to start things in the middle of the show. There is no rule that says that we have to start it when they're adults and then flash back to when they're children repeatedly and have this whole back and forth. And the thing about it is that, as was revealed in the biggest bullshit ever, DoA, which was, why was it so bad? What happened many years ago with the fire in the witch coven temple that killed everybody? Because unfortunately, DoA, the drama of this show, and especially of Torbin, relies on the fact that there was something heinous that happened, but it was just kind of an accident. And also, DoA, Torbin had nothing to do with it. Torbin had nothing. Why did he kill himself? There was
He just
no
wanted
reason.
to go home.
He just wanted to go home. He was tired of camping on this shitty planet.
I don't. It does make you. I mean, because was he sort of responsible for like starting the conflict by sneaking in there? He's like, I will kidnap these children if it means I can go home, which is kind of an extreme stance to take if you're not having fun at summer camp. But Torbin's just like that, I guess. You know what somebody said that the actor that plays Torbin is actually the guy who played Tommen in the Game of Thrones TV show. I have to look that up right now. We just watched the last episode, so I haven't had time to like look up everything like that. But that is crazy if that's the true. If that's the true.
That's the truth.
The show has strongly affected my ability to speak, apparently. He was Tommen Baratheon, yeah.
He just kills himself and everything.
I guess so.
he's the Sean Bean of suicides.
I mean, I haven't seen the other stuff he's in. Maybe he lives through some other The King? Does he live through that? I haven't seen that. What else? 1917? Does he live that? I mean, that's a World War I movie. He probably doesn't live through that. Or does he? I don't know. I've never seen that movie either. There's no fantasy in it that I know of. I haven't seen it.
Anyway, but I mean, the whole thing is like this fake drama that's manufactured where we're supposed to think there's some sort of terrible dark secret, which is why Torbin kills himself. And it turns out Torbin wanted to go home, and it was actually Sol who killed Mayanocha's mother. And I guess Torbin feels so guilt-stricken about that, he has to float in the air for 10 years and then kill himself at the instant that he is told to.
I feel like when you float in the air for 10 years ruminating on the mysteries of the Force, and then this person shows up with poison, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years? What does my beard look like? It probably looks terrible. Unless someone's been trimming it the whole time. But no, that'd be crazy. Who would trim the floating meditating Jedi's beard for him over a decade? Who would do that? Oh, but wait, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. It has been trimmed. That's kind of creepy. Well, I'm uncomfortable with this. Better off myself. That's the thought process of.
I just hate it, DoA, because we could have actually just started when they were kids, seen all of the action, and then actually had connections to the character. Because when what's her name, Master Inara, when Carrie-Anne Moss's character dies in the first 5 minutes of the show, I feel absolutely nothing. When Torbin dies, I feel absolutely nothing. When Wookiee guy dies, I feel absolutely nothing, because they're trying to make us care about these characters after they're dead. Most of the time.
The other thing, too, is if you think about the crux of the drama in the show isn't really the drama between the two sisters or the two not sisters. Spoiler alert. But it's really the relationship between Osha and Sol, right? How much better would the drama have been if we would have known the entire time that he was the one who actually killed her mom and he never told her, and then we see them come together later and we know he knows and he's not telling her, and we know she's kind of being like taken for a ride, basically. Like that would have upped the drama way more, right? And yet, it's something that is held from us until the very last episode where we know there's something going on, but we don't know.
And
we
also
don't know the important thing.
We also just skipped, the entire Master Sol, Osha, Master Padawan arc, right? Where if we had seen that, and he's just sitting there, it's like, he doesn't know I killed her mom the whole time. Like, it becomes much more interesting. Yeah. It becomes much more interesting in terms of observing their dynamic. So, I just don't understand why we even did it this way.
Yeah, if you build on that, though, too, like, with what he knew, when she essentially washes out of the Jedi Academy. How emotional must that have been for him, because he did so much to like try to, in his mind, rescue her from that situation, and then she failed out and left anyway. Like that's a huge amount of of drama for him, where it's like he has to go through this, like, why did I do all that stuff? Why did I murder this person? And then she didn't even make it anyway as a Jedi. But at the same time, there's a relief where maybe he can disconnect himself from that dark part of his past. All that stuff could have been a great great elements of drama that we just didn't get, because this show, like so many shows lately that want to use present and flashback, don't know how to use the two correctly to, move the drama along in a engaging way.
Well, yeah, and also I think they wanted to start this with an action sequence, but there's like a lot of different ways you could do that, right? I don't think it's less interesting to have the action sequences that happen at the end of this season in the first part of the season, because we still get good action sequences. Like, I actually think it's interesting when they turn the Wookiee Jedi against them and they have to fight their own, and it's like the forced possession narrative, right? So I don't know. I just think like this whole show is basically just instances of fake drama. I do love the one you pointed out in our last episode about Master Torbin dying and them just like waiting to reveal that they're like, you did this. And then he's like, actually, she didn't, even though that's completely ridiculous. And like, why did we have to have like 10 seconds of tension for absolutely no reason, when it's not a reasonable way that characters would actually behave. So
you know what?
The show is just egregiously guilty of fake drama.
Speaking of Yord, I totally forgot that he and Jecki even existed while I was watching the last like 2 episodes. I completely forgot about them as characters, which makes me think, why were they even in the series to begin with? Like, yeah, and I mean, I did say, like, I kind of liked Yord's character because I thought it was fun to have a Jedi that was like clearly capable, but also like a overly stickler for the Jedi rules. You know, it kind of pokes fun at all the Jedi ritual and rule and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was a neat, kind of a fun idea for a character. And then they killed him anyway. They snapped his neck.
You. Surprise.
But but then I totally forgot he existed. So in the end, it was like my mind was wiped going into episode 7 or whatever it was later on, where the Jecki and Yord just ceased to exist for me. But going back to your point though, if we follow like more of a chronological progression of things happening, then like the first big fight in the series would have been like the possessed Wookiee versus Soul and who was it, like Torbin and Dora? That would have been a great fight scene to lead off your action side of the series with. Like that, when I'm watching, now that we've seen the series in its totality, I will go back to what I said in our first Nerd Legion episode, where I think there's the seeds of a good story here. I think there was a good story in here. I just think that story was told so disjointedly and badly that we didn't really get to experience a lot of it. It's honestly a lot like the prequels, right? Where there is a good story underneath all that, but it was held back by a number of other things. I think honestly that The Acolyte fits that category too, where I think there was an engaging story here. It just wasn't conveyed very well.
Yeah.
There, I said 2 nice things. There.
All right. We're going to go for another new segment now. This one is going to be called Deus Ex Machina. And as it sounds like, guys, Deus Ex Machina is something that DoA and I both hate, where they just like fix plot problems with crazy characters. And has there ever been a Deus Ex Machina more blatant than Bazil the Rat Man in this show?
More like a muskrat man, really, but
Capybara Man.
Capybara Man, yeah, that's true. But it's like you need to find someone. Just have Bazil. Everybody loves Bazil. We're told multiple times everybody loves Bazil, so we must love him too. The show has ordered it. Get your Bazil t-shirts and sock puppets ready to go, because Bazil's the new baby Yoda. I guarantee you when they were making this show, somebody in the crew or in the making of this somewhere said to someone else, Bazil is our baby Yoda. I guarantee that sentence was said behind the scenes in this show. And they couldn't have been more wrong. Bazil was just basically walked around sniffing things, didn't really do much except for solve every problem that the Jedi had in terms of I guess finding people mostly, but also he's there to sort of like nudge along character escapes, things like that. He sabotages Soul's ship at the end, so he's just kind of like he is there just to perpetually be this like X factor that
We just
solves
need this
whatever
plot
little
to move
plot
along.
problem they want.
I
Exactly.
love this the ship sabotage because as soon as Soul crashes, he just leaves Bazil on the ship and like he's like, okay, well, you probably won't do anything more. I don't need to like contain you in any way after you just ruined my chase. Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. Just stay on the ship, do whatever you want. Whenever they need him, it's like, don't worry, we have the tracker. He will track. Like, use the fucking Force. The Force is already a Deus Ex Machina, guys. It's already the thing is the Force transformed from the original trilogy, where it was a very specific set of like telekinetic powers, right? Into by this point in Star Wars lore, it's just everything. It's just everything magic that fixes everything. So you already have a Deus Ex Machina. You could have introduced a cool character who's like a Force tracker, some sort of like Jedi bounty hunter. And instead we got this stupid little rat man.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It's the incessant need of Star Wars to have like cute, lovable characters in there, right? I mean, essentially R2 falls into this too, R2D2, even though he plays a much better functional role in the original trilogy. But he kind of becomes that in the prequels a little bit, where suddenly he's got a gadget for a little bit too much of everything. He kind of had a lot of useful gadgets in the old trilogy, but then in the prequels, he's like flying around on rockets that come out of his legs and stuff. And then of course in the OT is not exempt from this. We had Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. I know. The sequel trilogy were like Porgs. Yes, everyone will love the Porgs. It's like, no, Porgs don't cover up your travesty of a film. But then now we've got Bazil. Obviously Baby Yoda is another successful one, right? But he still kind of falls in that category where he is both character and MacGuffin. But he's also adorable and it works. I like Baby Yoda. But yeah, Bazil just is such a transparent attempt to recapture that kind of thing in Star Wars. And
also, also simultaneously absorbing all of the slapstick comedy moments where he just gets squirted in the face by water by Pip, which is just like, gotta have the droid cute creature interaction now.
That droid too. That droid's little tiny head has like more gadgets than R2D2, which is pretty impressive. It has some sort of liquid reservoir in there somewhere, which stores a lot more. It's like a bag of holding or something in there. It's like a pocket dimension where it stores much more liquid than you'd think that tiny little droid could store. Also, how does that recharge when they plug it into the outlet? I don't know. Great question. But we're not going to explore that one any further.
It just condenses water vapor out of the air, DoA. Don't worry about it.
Oh, there you go. Oh, it's like Water World or something. But so here's the biggest Deus Ex Machina in this show, though. You want to know what it is, Monty?
What is it?
Forgetfulness. Because
amnesia, damn
whenever they need a character to, I don't know, forget that they can use the Force completely when somebody's running away from them and getting to an escape pod, like May did in that last episode. Soul's like, no, stop, and he's chasing her. I'm like, use the Force, man. You can shut the door, you can grab her with the Force, you can like make a thing fly off the wall and hit her. There's like a million different things you can do with the Force to stop her, and we've seen everybody use the Force all the time in this show. But the one time he needs to use it, I forgot how to use the Force. Goodbye. Same with Darth Bortles at the end. The stranger or whatever he's called, I don't know. But Kumir, which was assumed, it was an assumed name, so we still don't know his real name, I guess. I bet Vanessa Rowe knows. Season 2. But anyway, he just like he has this big fight scene against Soul, which they're very evenly matched, right? And then in the end, May shows up and just beats him in like 2 seconds without a lightsaber, and It's like he just kind of forgot how to fight for a little while. Or like the bugs carrying him off. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like whenever they need something to happen in the plot, they just have people forget how to fight, forget how to use the Force. It's just forgetfulness. Forgetfulness is the ultimate Deus Ex Machina.
Or Pip the Light, where it's like, oh, we can't beat this guy, except we did beat them. But now he doesn't have a lightsaber, even though we beat him when he had a lightsaber before. But now that he doesn't have one in his hand, we can't kill him now. So quick, put the light on him and the moths will get him. Ha ha. It's like, what the hell is this? It's such a horrible anticlimax because Soul's just like, I have you now. Oh, wait, I can't kill you because we're not actually fighting and it's dishonorable. Even though I was literally fighting you with a lightsaber for the past 10 minutes. It's like, what are the fucking... I don't understand the rules, DoA. It's like...
He had killed how many Jedi, too?
Exactly.
Including Jecki and Yord right in front of him? So again, forgetfulness comes in. Apparently Soul just forgot about all the Jedi that just died right in front of him during that last scene, too. So I'm telling you, people just forget. They just forget things at very convenient times, whether it's abilities or skills or...
I know, he forgot...
Events.
The stranger forgot how to fight when the moths came. Even though we saw Soul just kill one with a single lightsaber strike earlier on, it's like, oh, you could defeat 6 lightsabers, 6 moths? That's too much.
He hates bugs. Same with Vanessa Rowe, just like lightsaber whipping one of them. And by the way, do we need lightsaber whips? I'm sure this is a thing that exists in Legends or whatever, but like, is there a reason out there? Let me know.
She does have one in other instances of her characters.
That's not my issue. My issue is there a reason why we never see lightsaber whips in the current age of Star Wars, in like the prequels or something like that? Because that is still theoretically when the Jedi are, at a not the height of their power, but still in a very powerful place. You'd think somebody would have them out there, but did they just conveniently forget how to make them? What happened? Was there some event that prevented them from making them? Were they considered too silly? I don't know. Another thing that bothers me. Forgetfulness, though. The ultimate Deus Ex Machina.
Well, see, DoA, this is what happens the reason why they're not in the more contemporary version of Star Wars is that most of the films were made before they made this. And so the writers of these story arcs had to have something unique and cool of their own. And so the problem is when you load all of that stuff into the past, it just makes the stuff that happens in the future feel weird.
Yeah, it makes it feel like the future feels suddenly less advanced than the past.
Yes. Which is, I suppose it's supposed to sort of feel that way in the High Republic, versus the New Republic arc. But yeah, I agree.
Something like that, though. It's like the prequels are really the last days of the Republic. It's not exactly like a Republic in massive decline or anything like that. We're not given the impression that things are just falling apart everywhere in the Republic. Like this separatist group has risen up, but like that doesn't, it doesn't seem like it's a major threat to the Republic. It seems like things just really fall apart when Palpatine seizes power, right? When he, this one guy comes in and starts the Clone Wars, right? If Palpatine hadn't existed, none of that stuff would have happened, really. So it wasn't, there wasn't anything, going on at a systematic level that would have caused like this type of technology to be lost. So yeah, when you insert things like this in an earlier era, but don't explain why it doesn't exist in the future, it does end up being a little bit weird.
All right, DoA, let's move on to our next segment.
Sure.
I've seen that before, which is where we talk about derivative aspects of the shows we've been watching. So DoA, tell me, what have you seen before?
I feel like in the last episode where Vanessa Rowe pretty much verbatim said he was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, I was like, huh.
I need you to help me find someone.
Who?
A pupil of mine. Before he turned to evil.
Sounds almost just like what Obi-Wan said in the original trilogy, or it's...
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil.
All those pupils turning evil.
It's that why can't we have new things in Star Wars, Monty? Why can even our new things be, why do our new things still have to be old things? Why can't Kamir / the stranger / the Sith guy just be some dude outside on the fringes of the Republic that realized he was Force sensitive, found, or maybe he stumbled across some old Sith artifact or temple or something or text that he used then to augment his powers. There's a lot of ways you could do this to have the Sith spring up independently, rather than yet another fallen Padawan, right? I mean, we've done this so many times, right? Even Osha is in that, right? She's a Padawan, and sure, she leaves the Order, but then she ends up going to the dark side.
She
Only
was
now
the
it's
acolyte
okay.
the whole time. The old
She was the
Star
acolyte the
Wars
whole time.
switcheroo. We'll get to
That's
that.
right.
We'll get to that.
Yep, exactly. But it's when I see this kind of stuff, I'm like, there's so many ways you could do it. Why do you have to do it the same way that it's been done before? Familiarity is not comfortable. It's boring.
Right. And also, I'm going to say spoilers for Knights of the Old Republic. It is like a 20-year-old game now, guys. So maybe you should have you should have definitely already played it. But if you haven't, and they are remastering it, so do not listen to the next part because that game is actually good. And the twist is really good. So it's a much better representation of Star Wars, basically, except anything else from the original trilogy. And it does take place, hundreds of years before. Like in this, I'm not sure if it's thousands, actually. Thousands, you're right. Thousands of years before the original trilogy. And in that, famously, they mind wipe, they use the memory deletion, they Men in Black, basically, Darth Revan, right? And we get to see that at the very end of this, too, when they do that to Osha. Now, why is this really necessary for Osha? Because they're giving her up, which is like super weird, and they don't want her to tell the secrets, but they're also like handing her over, presumably where she's going to be tried for, I don't know, the multiple Jedi she murdered. So they mind wipe her.
What I don't get is you mind wipe her, but then you don't like hide behind the tree or something or run away. You still just like stand there, and she's like, "Oh, who are you?" And they're like, "Oh crap, we got to do it again." She saw us. You think if they truly wanted to remain incognito and let her sort of like have these memories come back slowly over time and eventually find each other, that they would, get out of there pretty quick, like 23 skidoo, we're gonna run away from the tree. I don't know why I became somebody from the 1920s there, but either way, like you don't just stand there. It's like they really tried to Men in Black it, I suppose, right? Where it's you remember they do the memory wipe thing with the pen or whatever in Men in Black, and then they give them like an alternate story. That works in that movie because that person has never really seen them before that alien event, and they give them another story that they then just accept because they're still kind of in the process of having their memory wiped and kind of reset. It doesn't work here because the person that you're talking to looks exactly the same as you. And even if they don't know that right away, when they look in a mirror for the first time later, they're going to be like, well, that's odd. That person who was talking to me when I woke up looks just like me. So I don't know why they would stick around after that. I don't know what the point of that is other than being silly,
But yeah, I mean, this whole series just feels really derivative. Like, I also don't know if you're tired of it, DoA, but like, it's not just the fallen Padawan to Sith arc. It's also the way that there's always going to be a way, I think, to introduce cool new Force users. But even recently in Ahsoka, we got the Force Witches. The Sith are just kind of played out, I think, at this point in time.
Yeah.
We also got the Force Witches with Marin, as we talked about in the last episode, in the Jedi Outcast, Jedi Survivor games, which is a much more interesting version of the Night Sisters than we've seen in the TV shows. She's a much better character than any of the characters in Ahsoka or the Acolyte as well.
Can she turn into smoke, Monty?
Yes, she can.
Oh, well, then never mind. I haven't finished that game.
Around.
I didn't know that. Okay.
You didn't finish a single-player game?
No,
Wow.
I got farther into that then. I got farther into that than most games, though, but not that far.
So yes, the Night Sisters can, in fact, like teleport around. She does teleport around in a lot of the quests that you're on if you've actually played the games, unlike DoA.
Sweet.
So yeah, I mean, it's consistent, right? But I just find myself wishing that we could have had a different kind of villain, perhaps, so much, and instead it's just like we're falling back to the Sith stuff. He even calls himself Sith.
Yeah.
So,
well, and they just is this, am I getting into one of our other segments? I want to, oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I am. I'll save that rant for another moment of the show, but
we'll switch it up.
Okay.
Let's do Not Like This, where we bemoan how things end in this show, among other things. So why did it have to be this way? Not like this.
And I think in this case, we should call it Not Like Sith, because it really comes down to the fact that this show tries
the old
to...
anagram switcheroo.
There you go. There's this show tries to like tell us that the Sith aren't evil, they just want to be free. And it's like, sure, you're not wrong. They do want to be free. The problem is that they want to be free to dominate people and conquer people and
Murder them?
use them for their own ends, murder them. Yeah, their freedom doesn't involve a lot of happy coexistence with other people. There's a lot of tyranny involved usually with the Sith, you know? Historically, that tends to be the case, and that's certainly what we're shown in every other instance of the Sith popping up throughout Star Wars. So when it be like, oh, I just want freedom, man, it's like, no, that's your kind of freedom is not okay if your freedom is to dominate everyone else, right?
What do you want? Freedom.
The freedom to wield my power the way I like, without having to answer to Jedi like you.
So the fact that they tried to make the Sith kind of like that, and like we're supposed to be sort of, they almost make it like, I don't think we're supposed to be happy when Osha turns to the dark side and joins him. Like that's supposed to be a negative thing, right? But like they have a hard time really like sticking with the fact that the Sith, are very evil and this stuff isn't a good thing. And the Force Witches, they make them so sinister the whole time. It goes back to that too, right? Where it's like, we're not really seeing them in like a great light. And the whole creating life with the Force has, again, only ever been mentioned one other time in Star Wars screen media. And that was talking about Darth Plagueis, right? In Revenge of the Sith, and this is something Palpatine was talking about, like this great power, but it was also associated with the dark side too. So basically taking all those very dark side things and trying to portray them as like, oh, it's just a different point of view. They just want freedom. They just don't want to be bound by the tenets of the Jedi and all that. It's like, well, sure, the Jedi aren't perfect, but those tenets are there because the Force is a very, very dangerous thing in the wrong hands. And so the Jedi Order constrains the people who can use those talents in a way that makes them safe to interact with for the rest of the galaxy, right? The Jedi Order isn't some elitist club. It's a safeguard for the rest of the galaxy against people who can use the Force. Why don't people understand this? Like, yeah, sure, the Jedi Order has a lot of prestige around it. It's cool to be able to use the Force, but essentially it's a safety mechanism for the rest of us, So trying to act like the Sith are just like, oh, we just want to be free. We just want to get out there and use the Force the way we want to use it, and that's okay. Yeah, well, that's not how
we
it
talked about
works.
this in the last episode too, DoA, about like how they kind of fall on their face when they try and make the Jedi seem bad. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to introduce this very weird moral ambiguity to this show, but it's done in such a ham-fisted way. My favorite moment of which, DoA, because they tried to say like, oh, the Jedi are bad. They're stealing our children. Look at this. They're indoctrinating them into their religious order, except your cult is weird and also bad, and I don't really feel sympathetic because you are in fact endangering children. Like, let's be very clear. And the Jedi are kind of right to take away your kids. Like, they're intervening in this situation, which is strange. And maybe those kids do need your protection. But my favorite line of this, DoA, was in the absolutely horrendous flashback scene where Master Soul stabs the smoke and it turns out to be the mom, which I mean, by the way, not like this, guys. Not like this at all.
I guess she didn't turn enough into smoke at that point. Like,
I don't even understand what happened because they turned into smoke later. As I said, in other Star Wars media, we know that the Night Sisters can teleport, so it's not super weird for this to happen. But also, Soul's reaction. I mean, he must be the one who enforces the no smoking regulations in the Jedi courtyards, because the instant she turns into smoke, he's like, "It's stabbing time."
Yeah. I mean, like, on the one hand, you know, sure, he had just seen his Wookiee friend turned against him. He just had this big fight. The adrenaline was going, you know. Obviously,
that was before. That happened after DoA.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Happened afterwards.
All right, there's no excuse for this.
He just rolled up, and Torbin, they were like, it was a mistake to come back here. But my favorite part of it, DoA, was this absolute trash dialogue. Not like this, by the way, where the dialogue is literally, they come there and they're like, we've come to, you know, have Osha make her choice. And her mom says, she won't be raised by an institution instead of a family, which is like a reasonable thing to say, right? She's a child, and like, she doesn't want her whisked away to this very rigid order. Okay, so I get that. And then while she's dying, after she's stabbed, she's like, I was going to let her go. I'm like, bitch, you literally just said you didn't want her raised by an institution instead of a family. And then as soon as you get stabbed, you're like, that's okay. Like, that doesn't even logically make sense together. If you believe the first thing that you said, why would you then say the second thing?
I was going to let Osha go. It's what she wants. It's what she wants. She chose you.
It's just, it is fake drama, actually. It's totally fake drama. I was going to let her go. It's what she wanted. She wanted to be raised by the institution.
I thought, I got the impression she was gonna like teleport the twins to somewhere safe, like, because remember May started like disappearing, one of them started disappearing too. So my impression was that she was trying to send them off somewhere, and then she wasn't fully smoked when she got stabbed, I guess. I don't know.
Got lightning reflexes, can stab her before she turns into vapor.
Another thing where we don't really see that happen in any of the newer Star Wars stuff, like all the witches of Dathomir hanging out with Thrawn. Why didn't they do any of that? They forgot how to turn to smoke. Whoops.
The other thing is, not like this, the ending of this show, which also just revolves around Vernestra Rwoh just not telling the Jedi Council, which she says she's not going to do previously in the series, but it's never explained, because she's like, oh, they're just going to tell the Senate. It's like, how often do you have a incredibly dangerous rogue force user rocking up and just murdering Jedi Masters? And you're like, this is a covert ops mission now. The government can't know about this. She's like the definition of the deep state, by the way, which also, like, I know we're supposed to not be sympathetic for that senator who's like, you know, the Jedi Order does need some oversight. And yeah, he's definitely like overplaying it. But I'm like, I agree with this guy. The Jedi Order does need some fucking oversight.
I think the Jedi are a massive system of unchecked power, posing as a religion. A delusional cult that claims to control the uncontrollable.
We don't control the Force.
Not the Force. Your emotions.
You know what I figured out from all this is Vernestra Rwoh just really hates paperwork. She's like, oh man, they're gonna do like an internal review of us. Like, I don't want to fill out that paperwork. Like, we got to keep this thing under wraps, you know? I mean, is that really that bad? Like a review of the Jedi Order? What was she worried about the conclusion of this review being? Do you think the Senate could actually like you know, put pressure on the Jedi? Like, we literally see two Jedi or two Sith in Revenge of the Sith take over the entire galaxy. Are the Jedi really under any threat here if the Senate's like, well, we'll make a move off of Coruscant, you know? Sure, the Jedi will go somewhere else. Like, what can they really do to the Jedi? You know,
well,
so
it's also like, what is the Senate's conclusion going to be? They're like, there is a very dangerous unknown person murdering very powerful Jedi. Nah, let's just not pay attention. That doesn't seem.
Would you like some help? Maybe they would offer some.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm sure the Republic the old Republic has a you know, fantastic information network where they can, like, you know, find people fairly easily. They might not even need a capybara man to do it, you know, and like the Jedi apparently do. So if anything, you'd think the Senate would be helpful in this particular case. So I don't know. And it's also very clear too that the problem isn't with the entire Jedi Order. It's with this, very small group of people within the Jedi Order, but Vernestra Rwoh, by doing all this stuff now is making it an entire Jedi Order problem. She's making things worse. And, you could say, oh, well, she's just trying to cover up for the fact that her acolyte, her Padawan, my bad, turned to the dark side. She doesn't want people to know, and maybe that's part of her personal reason for the cover up, But
she doesn't know that until she goes to the planet. So she's trying to cover it up well before.
You're right.
Yeah, Vernestra Rwoh is actually just terrible. She's actually just an idiot. Yeah. And we get to that at the end, too, because at the very end, the big reveal is she's like, I must go talk to my master. And it's Yoda. And it's like, why didn't you do this previously? Don't you think Yoda could have helped with some, I don't know,
come
wisdom?
to me earlier, you should have. Prevented this whole season. I could have.
What is going on here? Like, it just seems like she doesn't want to tell anybody about this, but we don't understand the reasons why she doesn't want to tell anybody earlier. I mean, I get it later when it's revealed that, the stranger, Chimera, whatever you want to call him, might actually be her former Padawan, right? But before that, it really doesn't make sense why she would be implementing this cover-up, because presumably the council and the Senate could actually help in this scenario, and you think it would be a massive crisis that literally everyone would want to solve.
I think the idea is that she's supposed to have too much of an emotional connection to Soul. And so it's her emotions are causing her to make these errors in judgment. Maybe that's what it's supposed to be, but I think you have to take some pretty big leaps to apply that, because it's never really communicated to us. That's just kind of like an assumption I'm making based on, like, she just says she likes Soul from time to time, and that he's a nice guy. But it is, in a sense, it is a happy ending for one person in the show. It's a happy ending for Chimera, who apparently was only after a girlfriend the entire time.
He's just an incel, man.
Apparently, because like towards the end of the show, it's like very clear. It's like he doesn't just want an acolyte. He wants a special
the power of two. He wants the power of two, DoA, and he wasn't getting the power of two. So he had to go after her sister, right? He had to go after her sister.
Power of one. The power of many. Whoa. But,
too much.
On the power of two. But now we know why his uniform, his costume didn't have sleeves. He was just like the whole time he's like, hey, I'm just here in the Sith. We just want to be free, man. We just want to be free. Oh, I just feel so free right now. No reason really. Hey, you guys notice you notice my costume doesn't have any sleeves if you've seen my arms lately. And to be fair, that actor has fantastic arms. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be showing them off too if you've just seen I don't have those arms. But if I did, I'd probably wear sleeveless shirts more too. But it kind of makes him look like in the end he wasn't really just looking for an acolyte. He was really searching for a girlfriend the entire time. So,
and not only that, what I love about the ending is Osha's entire 180 in character, which some people will say, well, it's because of her mom dying, but like clearly she's against murder, because remember when the old twin switcheroo happens, she is trying to arrest May for murder. And she's really against her own sister being a murderer. But when she meets the stranger, she's like, well, you do have nice arms, so I guess I don't care about all that murder you did anymore.
She saw him kill Jecki and Yord. Like, she was friends with them, supposedly.
Exactly.
And they weren't responsible for anything. They weren't on Brendok. They were just like fellow Padawans with her. And she's just like, she's like, oh, I like the bat. He seems so dangerous. Like, So I don't know. I didn't really, I guess, but her lightsaber, she turned Soul's lightsaber to red, so.
Which was a mega cringe scene, by the way.
I guess she's evil now. That's a thing now in Star Wars, I guess. You don't become evil and reject your Jedi lightsaber and forge a new evil-looking Sith lightsaber, which seems much more meaningful. No, you just get real mad, and your hot blood turns your lightsaber crystal to red. Which
you do. It's called bleeding the lightsaber. And you basically,
I think
you
it's lame.
when you I also think it's lame, but technically that is something that has been
It's a thing now, but
added to the Star Wars mythos. It is dumb though. I agree.
I don't like it. It's dumb. They added a song. They added a singing and dance number to the Jabba's Palace scene in Return of the Jedi. That's in Star Wars as well, but it's also dumb, and I don't like it. I don't have to like everything. Like, I think it's just much more. This is my personal fan fiction, if you will, but I feel like it's much more meaningful if someone does forsake the Jedi Order, for them to forsake the icon of that order, the representation of their membership in the order, and nothing represents that more than their lightsaber. So either changing it and corrupting it to now be a red-bladed lightsaber, or throwing it away and constructing a new one to reject that old life, feels much more of a meaningful ritual in becoming a Sith. If we're going with what apparently is the only way to become Sith, which is to like be a Jedi that falls away from the light side. You can't just organically become Sith, which would be way cooler. But they don't even give us that. So I feel like that's and that's what I always kind of had the impression of in like the original trilogy, even the prequels and things like that, where that was the trajectory, right? That this had to have happened because we see lightsaber construction as like an important thing in a Jedi's sort of like journey, right, through the Force, that it would make sure that it would make sense that this was also an equally important thing in a Sith journey. So then it'd be like, nah, when you're evil, just turns red. Like that seems silly to me.
I do like the building the new lightsaber idea, because it feels like much like they have a side quest to go get the red kyber crystal from the evil planet or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now we just get a side quest where they have to fix an elevator in this show. And like the guy like want to climb, and like, yeah, like Jedi have climbed this multiple times very easily, like one episode ago. You don't need the elevator. You got the Force. But
right.
Let's talk. Do you want to talk a little bit about? Okay, we can go on. I wanted to mention the not like this aspect of introducing scary Longfinger's Force guy, I assume, in the cave at the end. Who is that? Oh, is it Darth Plagueis? Is it Darth something? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. Nah, probably not going to be a season 2, is there? But so that person was there. Shrug.
I like how they just introduced it. I mean, also not like this at the end. We mentioned it earlier, but switching the sisters as to who is the evil one and who is the real acolyte is just incredibly lame. You didn't have to do it like this. You could have just had May continue to be the one.
And also
because it doesn't matter, guys, when they are the same person. It's literally telling you they're the same person, so it doesn't matter which one it is. So we don't have to do this fake switcheroo.
Well, the thing is that they both appear to be parts of the same person. Like neither is a whole person on their own,
right?
Which is why May seemed so bloodthirsty for the entire series until she wasn't, and Osha seemed so kind and caring until she wasn't. So having that swap doesn't really make sense in terms of what we were told about them as beings. That they were two halves of one person, right? Because it's like, well, now I guess does both half have everything? You can't do that. You can't have both halves be 100%. If you're going with they're each half a person, you have to kind of stick with the half that they are, right? I'm just using their own story elements in my argument here, but yet we have them change completely at the end, and we're not given a reason why this is possible. So,
well,
all right,
let's end the episode by speculating on some crossovers that this show could be, DoA.
Go for it.
Can it crossover? And I was inspired, DoA, by your comparisons of dragons' names in House of the Dragons to various pharmaceuticals. So I would to pitch the following. Are you or a Jedi suffering from cortosis? Cortosis can cause a loss of performance with your lightsaber when you need it the most. Is your lightsaber flaccid and floppy like Vernestra Rose? Well, see your doctor today, and you can get your rigid lightsaber performance back, hard and ready for battle. If you're a Jedi with symptoms of cortosis, go and see your doctor and ask how you can get your lightsaber performance back to peak potential.
Yeah, and don't be embarrassed either, because it happens to like at least 40% of Jedi fighting Sith too, that the lightsaber will fail to perform. It's a very normal thing, so don't be embarrassed.
It's a symptom of a lightsaber combat with a stranger. Be careful who you fight.
That's true. You never know when you're gonna get the cortosis.
You never know when a stranger's gonna give you the cortosis.
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah. That does remind me of one of the scenes I did like, going back to the fight choreography actually, where there's the one scene where they're fighting and fighting, but then their lightsabers kind of swap sides, and they're trying to pull their own lightsabers towards them, right? Because the bad guy, the Sith, the guy who wants to be free, is trying to pull his opponent's lightsaber toward his helmet to short it out. But then Soul turns off his lightsaber, and so the guy almost hits his own helmet with it too. That was a really cool moment.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a cool one.
The
like,
what are they doing? And you're like,
again.
oh yeah. So
the
good, everything else.
The other crossover I have for you, DoA, is the Jedi Trap, or as we call it in Star Wars, it's a trap. It's a trap. Which is when we have the twins actually take each other's parts in order to reunite in a loving relationship, Vernestra Rose and the stranger. They're trying to bring them back together into that really kind master Padawan relationship that they had at one time. And instead of Lindsay Lohan, we get May and Osha. But this is a story about comedic reunification by two twin sisters that
I laughed.
that are trying to fix the rifts in the relationships that have formed. So that's my pitch for the new Star Wars romantic comedy. It's a trap.
It's a parent trap. I love it. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's a very good one. That is a very good one. Yeah. I have identical twin sisters actually. They're like about 4 years younger than me, if I remember right. I don't know. I have a lot of siblings, but they would swap classes in high school because they look identical enough that they could do that. They would sometimes just go to each other's classes and things. So, and they are two separate people though. They aren't two. It's not a Virgins in the Force as far as I know. But they would swap places sometimes and confuse people intentionally.
Very good.
Which, why wouldn't you? That'd be fun.
That's true. All right, Joe. Any final thoughts, Joe? That is the Acolyte. I will say I did enjoy it more in episodes 4 through 8 than I did in 1 through 3.
Yeah, sure. I did too, to a certain extent, but I embraced the goofiness.
Yes.
And part of it too is that like I feel like I'm very good / cursed at seeing the potential of a show rather than the show itself. And so when I look at this show, I still feel like a profound disappointment that we have yet another instance of Star Wars media where there was a good story here. You could tell there was a good story in there, and it was just done so poorly. And pick your reasons, right? I mean, there was a lot of issues with the show. The dialogue was not very good. The way that story was broken apart and reorganized in the worst way possible. Even down to things like the lighting and the shots in a lot of the non-fight scenes, like everything outside of the choreography was very bland. It's yet another instance at the end of the day where we could have had something really special, and for whatever reason, the team that was making it just couldn't deliver. And that's sad. That's really sad, because Star Wars it's such a cool universe with so many cool aspects of it, and so many people want to love it. And I guarantee you, people like us, we wanted to like this show. I go into every Star Wars thing wanting to like it. I'm not out to hate Star Wars. I
was excited by this because I felt like we could actually get a really unique storyline that was unencumbered by the Skywalker saga and do something wholly different. And we just got garbage instead. So it is a big disappointment, I would say.
Yeah, at least we got it with Andor, but this is another instance of pretty much
Andor's
everything
still
else.
tied up in the Skywalker saga. You know what I mean? Like this was like
Well,
actually a clean slate.
yeah, yes and no, but yeah, I agree where this was, potentially a clean slate, but it still fell into the same tropes that the Skywalker saga stuff fell into. Fallen Padawans, blah blah blah, right? So they may have not had characters named Skywalker in it, but it was basically just more Skywalker saga stuff. So it is extremely disappointing. And like I know and that when it comes to creative projects, in Hollywood, in whatever entertainment field you're in, there are a lot of times people who are above your pay grade, as they say, higher up on the management totem pole that don't understand what you're doing. They don't understand the property, but they act like they do, and they make decisions like they think they do, and they ruin it for everybody else. So it's hard to say how much of this were the people directly making the show and how much of this were decisions handed down by people up top, right? So I think that is important to acknowledge too, that I don't just want to completely crucify the people that made this show. Obviously they're responsible for some of it, but
I do.
when I look
trash.
at something like this, when you look at something like this, it goes deeper than just the people you see on the IMDb page, right? So it's like, I think the best thing for Star Wars would be if Disney just let it go, like sell it to someone else, just let it go, right? Because just let Star Wars be free. Let people make Star Wars stuff without the constraints of all of the over managing the test audiences, all that stuff. Just let Star Wars be Star Wars again. Let it be what you want the Sith to be. Free to be done in its own way, free to be used as people see fit. Let us have Star Wars the way you want the Sith to have the Force, because we'll do a better job of it than the Sith will the Force, at least, and probably than you will with Star Wars. So there you go.
Very good. I think this show should not get a second season. Just order more Andor, please. I am looking forward to Andor season 2. So
no more. Yeah, just season
no
2.
more. Just season 2, no more. It goes to show what you can do with the Star Wars universe in a good way, though, with significantly better writing. Both Ahsoka and the Acolyte have been trashed. The Acolyte much more trashed than Ahsoka. Okay,
well, Ahsoka was okay. I didn't mind Ahsoka.
It was bad. They butchered Thrawn. They butchered. How could they massacre my boy Thrawn like that? But anyway,
Sure.
We're gonna be heading back to The Boys next week, guys. We will do another. Oh, and by the way, if you like this format of a show, let us know with the segments. The Boys, as we said, has not been good throughout the first episodes we watched. We will finish that series. We will do another live watch along of the season finale for The Boys for episode 8. So you guys can look forward to that as well. Let us know if you like the changes and the additions that you're seeing to Nerd Legion, and we will see you next week.